Live action, y'all. Live action. We back. Oh, we back. We back. What up, y'all? Dr. Pinesett, the study doc. And tonight it's all about why students don't achieve. And I don't know about you guys, but how many of you guys have heard that you will never be what you're trying to be? You will never become that doctor. You don't become that dentist, that lawyer, that college grad. Simple as that, right? You will never become that with which you want to be. And you hear people tell you it all the time. You hear yourself tell you it. And we're going to talk about why, for so many students, sadly, it's true. As much as it hurts, it's true when people say that. And we're going to talk about what the separator is and how you can become the successful student and stop being the student who underachieves and falls short. So let's hit the intro and let's get into it. Welcome back, y'all. Brant, what up? Malihi, what up? But stop making excuses. Stop whining. Stop, right? Get at it. No excuses. Just dominate. All right, I'm already on here, and Ryan already saying he's heard that from his family, right? Your own family telling you you aren't going to make it. But I'm telling you guys, what's interesting is, I tell my students all the time, sometimes when someone is telling you you're not going to make it, or yourself is telling you you're not going to make it, and you have these doubts, those are your spider senses, y'all. You're trying to ignore those, trying to stuff those down, but sometimes that's a reality check. That's your gut. That's other people's gut telling you what is really going on and to get you past your denial, because some people live in denial. But we're going to talk about this tonight. I'm Dr. Andres Ponte, the Study Doc. This is the Study Doc Show, y'all. And I'm here as always. What do, guys? I bring you guys productivity. I bring you guys positivity to help with your student and pre-med journeys so you can become a successful student, so you can become this amazing, whatever you want to be and have your career dreams achieved. And so I'm excited to be here with you guys live action. We are live. You guys are live with me. Thumbs up that video right now so I know we are live. You guys can hear me. 20/20, 50/50, whatever audio comes in. And so I asked on my Instagram, I had an encounter that made me want to get back on social media because it clarified why I need to be here for you guys. And I'll tell you about that encounter in a second, but it made me post something on my social media. So on Instagram, I'm at the Study Doc on Instagram. I posted the following post, and it said this. It said, decide what kind of life you really want, and then say no to everything that isn't that. So hear me now. Decide what kind of life you really want, and then say no to everything that isn't that. And I love this quote, and I shared it because of an encounter I had. And then I asked a survey or a quote or a question, whatever, on my Instagram, and I said, hey, how many of you guys are clear on your priorities? And the survey results were 73% of students who responded said that they are clear on their priorities and on their goals. And then I said, what's the next question that you need to ask yourself that I'm going to ask you? And I'm going to ask it here. If so many of you guys are clear on your priorities, and for most students, you guys are, you're clear. You're like, oh my gosh, I want to become a doctor. Oh my gosh, I want to graduate college, become the first in my family to graduate college. I want to do this. You have all these, you're clear on all these career prospects. Yet, right, all these students are so clear on it. And I bet 73% is probably about right. About 3/4 of people know what they want to become. Then why is it that so few students actually do become that? That is the next question, right? If we're clear on it, why aren't we becoming it? And for me, the simple truth boils down to two things. The most students know what they want to be, and they know what they have to do to get there. The problem breaks down in two ways. One way, it's students who don't make the decisions that they need to make to get there. So they are not either willing to make the actions to get there, or they don't have the know-how to get there. And it comes in two forms. One is decision-making, and one is know-how and knowledge, right? And knowledgeability, right? And being knowledgeable. And so what we have to recognize is that so much of social media is predicated on the visual. So much of social media is predicated on seeing is being. Seeing is believing, right? And we see all these people who are fake Instagram influencers. We got fake jets rented, all these kind of things. And we focus on the perception and the outcome, and we don't focus on, okay, are we actually becoming that, right? It's this proximity principle of thinking that we see a celebrity and all of a sudden we're a celebrity. We got a picture of a celebrity, so now we're cool, we're hip, we're successful. That's not the case. And so for so many of you guys are living in this fantasy world where you have this big dream of what you want to become. I want to become a doctor. So what do? You go out and you follow a bunch of doctors on social media instead of actioning to get there to become that doctor. And so for you guys, if you want to be successful, the biggest separator all the time, anyone get into medical school. But the separator is you have to be willing and able to do the work. And most students are not willing or not able to do the work. And it's come down to decisions and know-how. And where people don't recognize, y'all, the power of the decisions in our lives, and this is the moment that maybe you want to post this and talk about this today, because I had a sliding doors moment. Who's ever seen the movie Sliding Doors? I'll stop for a second. Siobhan, what up? Who's ever seen the movie Sliding Doors? It's pre-Iron Man, Gwyneth Paltrow. Who has seen the movie Sliding Doors? Everybody can hear me? We're still clear? We are live action, y'all, so I got to make sure we're still on here. Everybody can hear me. Coming through clear. Okay, I'm coming through clearly. All right, there we go. All right, the movie Sliding Doors, it's an old school movie. It's like a 90s movie, right? Typical, not that great, right? But I thought was very profound when I watched the movie. And I learned a lot from watching the movie. And it was a silly movie, but I learned. And the movie stars Gwyneth Paltrow. And the premise of the movie is very simple. It's called Sliding Doors, like the sliding doors theory, like split realities. And the movie starts, and we see Gwyneth Paltrow. She's this unhappy waitress, and she's frustrated with her life. She wants to be so much more and wants to own her own restaurant and do all those kind of things, but she's a struggling, hustling, and bustling waitress. And the movie starts off as she leaves her apartment, and she's got this long-term boyfriend who doesn't have a job. He's supposed to be writing a book, right? And he's an author. And so she leaves and goes to work. And in the first scenario, she makes her subway train, goes on to work, comes back from work, and goes on living this unhappy life. The second scenario is that she misses her train to work. So because she misses her train to work, she goes back home so she can get the car. And when she goes back home, she finds her slimy author boyfriend not working on the next great novel, but instead hooking up with some other woman. And so in that scenario, she breaks up with the guy. She decides she's had enough of being settling for her life and she's going to go for it. And so she eventually ends up making her way, moving to the movie, and becoming a successful businesswoman and finally following her dreams, right? She takes action. And while that kind of sounds silly, do you guys understand the premise here? So there's one Gwyneth Paltrow, two alternate lives, and it's all because of a fluke not making the train or making the train. And while that was a fluke, what I took that as is that in life, there are key moments that seem trivial, that seem like nothing, right? Like making a train or missing a train, that end up affecting your life in ways that you can't even fathom in that moment. But then down the road, if you really look critically, you can look back and see, oh, that's the moment when I made it, or that's the moment when I didn't make it. And I had my own sliding doors moment in real life because recently, as you guys know, I'm an anesthesiologist. A guy I used to know, or I mean, I guess I should preface the way it happened to me. I walk into the room to do a huddle. So before we do any case in the operating room, we get together, the anesthesia team, the nursing team, the surgery team, and we talk about the patient in front of the patient to confirm you are, in fact, the patient we're supposed to be doing on. In fact, we are supposed to work on your right arm, not your left arm, right? We are doing this procedure, and we confirm everything. And so we're meeting in this huddle, and as we're in this huddle, we're talking to the patient and what's going on. The patient, someone's with the patient, and the guy is like staring at me, and it's kind of awkward because I'm standing over the patient, and there's all these people in the room, and this person's like right next to me, and like, you know, when you're at a place and you see someone like side eyeing you, like out of your side eye, you can see them looking at you. And so I thought the guy was checking me out or something. I was like, maybe I'm looking good today in my scrubs. I don't know, right? And so he's looking at me, and he's like looking real hard at me. And so I'm like, oh, so fine. I look at him like, hey, right, like one of them. And he's like, is your name Andre? I'm like, yeah, my name's Andre. What's going on? And he goes, oh, you don't remember me? I'm like, looking. And then he pulls his mask down. I was like, oh. And it turns out it was a guy I knew from way back when in college. And we went to UC Irvine together in undergrad. Right? So we went to undergrad together. And I haven't seen this guy literally since college. And he remembered me. And I remembered him. And I was like, oh my gosh, how's it going? And he's like, oh, it's going good. Okay, well, let me finish up the patient stuff and then we'll talk after this. So we did the patient stuff. And then after I came back out, after put him to sleep, and I talked to him. I was like, hey, so what's going on? Like, it's so crazy to see you down here. Like, I'm in San Diego. You're in San Diego. What's going on? And he's like, oh, well, you know, things are kind of hard right now. You know, the guy I'm here with is my roommate, and you know, I'm here to support him. He's got a surgery going. I'm like, oh, that's cool. I'm like, so what's going on? Like, you were pre-med. I remember back in the day we were both pre-meds. Like what ended up happening to you? I feel like I didn't see you in classes. We kind of fell off. And he's like, oh, well, you know, it's a long story, but essentially, you know, things didn't go right for me at UC Irvine. It was just, you know, it was just too hard. It was too difficult. So I decided that I would change majors, and I changed my major. And then I changed my major, and then things still really weren't going well. So then I decided I'd take some time off. And so then I took some time off, and then instead of going back to UC Irvine, I decided to go to community college. And then I did that for a little while, and I just kind of got sick of it. And then I decided I was gonna get a job because I needed money. So I got a job, and I was working that job. I met a girl, and we were together, and I've just been working that job ever since. Just kind of floating around doing different jobs. I came out here to San Diego with the opportunity to work down here for Scripps. And I'm like, oh, that's awesome. You work at Scripps. What do you do at Scripps? And Scripps is a big healthcare center in Southern California. So I'm like, what do you do at Scripps? And he goes, oh, I'm part of the, what do you call it? He didn't call it maintenance. He called it, not logistics. There was a term he used, which is a fancy term for the maintenance crew, right? Like the janitorial staff, the custodial staff. And so he's a custodian or a janitor or maintenance person at Scripps Hospital. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. Like, it's great. And he's like, yeah, so you're here, you're doing, you made it, you went to medical school. I'm like, yeah, blah, blah. And we have this whole conversation, and I'll spare you guys all the details of it. But it was so weird to look in the mirror. This guy's telling me his whole life story. He made some bad decisions in college. Fast forward, currently he's married. He has a kid. He has 2 kids, but one of his kids has a developmental issue. And this kid who has developmental issue needs therapy. And he was telling me how, yeah, it's just been a real struggle. We don't have a car. And so to get him to and from where he needs to go for this therapy, and then also to pay for the therapy, can't really do it. So we just have him kind of at home. We're trying to do the best we can, blah, blah, blah. And it was like this whole thing, but it was just weird because, like, you guys know I'm a dad, so I'm like really into, like, make sure my kids have everything they need. But it was such a weird juxtaposition of looking in the mirror because we are the same age. We went to UC Irvine at the same time. We both had the same big dream, right? The big aspiration, the same big priority that we wanted to do: go to medical school, become a doctor, all this great stuff. We were both at that time disadvantaged students, black male students at UC Irvine, right? Coming from low income families, all these things, all these obstacles against us, didn't know how to study, and so forth. And to fill in the blank, right? If you guys remember my story, at the end of my freshman year, my college counselor told me that I would never graduate in the sciences. I need to switch majors, right? And that I would never get into medical school, and told me all this stuff. And so as I was thinking about this encounter, I have this guy like all day. I couldn't get out of my mind. I'm thinking about it all day. And I'm like, damn, like it's like looking in the opposite side of the mirror of the sliding door. And that me and this guy were the same exact student. Same big dreams, same big priorities, same all this stuff. But we made different decisions that completely altered the course of our lives. And it's not about my success, but it's about the fact that me and him were the same, yet our lives now, fast forward almost 20 years later, are entirely different. And in hearing his story and in talking to him, his life was derailed from the moment he decided to change his major. In a sense, giving up, without realizing it, his priority, his dream, making it, right, an impossibility through his actions. And it was like, bam. And I started thinking about it more and more and more. And I'm like, for so many students, you guys don't recognize that all the little things that are happening today, the decisions you're making, right? The investments you're making in your knowledge and your know-how and your skill set, your strategies to get ahead, the divide is like this. It's insane. And to tell you that my life is amazing and becoming a doctor has changed my life and changed my family's life and changed the next generation's life, it would be an understatement, y'all. It's completely altered where I was to where I'm going to be and where my kids are going to be. And for you guys right now, the reason I'm bringing this to you guys is because people think it takes a whole lot to be successful. But when you really, really, really shrink it down and you think about your past failures or your times you're really successful and you had like a huge accomplishment, was it anything super special? Or was it the fact that you showed up every day and did the work? Was it the fact that you put in the extra effort? Was it the fact that you committed yourself to learning how to do something well? Was it that you committed to carrying out the action, not giving up, right? To giving 100,000%? Was it the simple things that result in you being successful? And so I want you guys to understand today, when we have these big lifelong goals and priorities of getting to medical school or whatever it is, the separator between whether you get there or not. So if you find yourself constantly falling short, you're struggling, you're failing, it's because you aren't making the right decisions, you don't have the right know-how, you don't have the skill set, you haven't practiced at it, you're not doing the work. And the people who are successful that you may be envious of right now, that you may be side-eyeing, talking about how they got all this stuff and you don't got it, The separator is simply, what are you doing to get there? And for me and this guy, man, it was crazy to look at, guys. It was like if you could have a flash to what your life would be if you had made a different decision. It was in that moment. And I just felt so grateful that I had made the right decisions. But it made me want to get on here and talk to some of you guys and get back on social media, because the juxtaposition, like, let me see who's on here. Armand's on here, Kasim's on here, Jones on. There's a bunch of you guys who are my students who are like in my courses. And the juxtaposition between Cult of Greatness students and the average student and most students, and the emails I get from my students of success, and not even the success they have. What makes me so proud of what we're doing in our community and in our courses and our coaching, right? We got coaching right after this. What makes me so proud of what we're doing and what I'm doing to help students is that I'm truly, truly empowering students. I said I'm on a mission to empower 1 million students, and the emails and the messages I get of pure empowerment, meaning my students maybe haven't succeeded yet, but they have a belief that they can achieve anything, and they are willing and able to put the work in. And if they're willing and able to put that work in, I know they're going to be successful. So when I get these emails, they say, listen, Dr. P, you got me. I'm ready. I'm ready to do the work. I now see how I can do the work. I'm in your 5 pillars course. I see how I can study. I got your MCAT course. I see how I can do the MCAT. Got your application course. It's executing. And I hear them say, oh, I'm going to do the work. Whatever it takes, I'm going to do it. And now I got a plan. I can't lose. And to see that juxtaposed with some of you guys out here who feel you doubt yourself incessantly. Golly, talking yourself out of success. You want to be successful, but can't execute. You procrastinate all the time. You don't know how to read effectively. You don't know how to do the MCAT. You don't know how to apply to medical. You willy-nilly stuff. The dichotomy of these two sets of lives is going to be tremendous. And so I felt a duty to get on here today and really show you guys this stuff, because to look in the mirror and see this guy, young black man, same age as me, same undergrad, same circumstance, and to see his life altered 20 years later by decisions he made all that time ago that he didn't recognize. Well, that's a bad decision. That's a bad decision. It's huge, y'all. So I want you guys to understand and appreciate this today. This is unplanned, but I was like, man, I gotta share this with you guys today. The difference between who you want to be and who you currently are today. Daniel Alley says it best. I love this quote. The difference between who you are and who you want to be is simply 2 things, y'all. Confidence and competence. And I'm thankful and I'm blessed and I'm fortunate that I get to live my dream life every single day of being a doctor and of helping students get confident and get competent. And so for you guys, I encourage you all to work on your confidence, your belief, and your competence to make the right decisions and to be able to execute on those decisions at the highest of levels to be an effective student, an successful student. And I just encourage you today to look at yourselves and ask yourselves, which course are you heading down? Which pathway of the sliding door are you on? Because you may not recognize it now, but I swear to gosh, y'all, you're going to have regrets and you don't want to. You don't need to. Learn from other people's mistakes. Look around the corner. It's like GPS, y'all. Ooh, there's traffic up ahead. Divert to a new route. And this is, I hope for some of you guys, a wake-up call. You need a new route and a new path. And it starts with just analyzing and saying, listen, I'm not where I'm at. I need to get a different place, and making a decision that you're going to do what's required. You're willing and you're able to do the work. Then after you make that decision, you commit to yourself that I'm willing to do the work and I want to do it and I must have it. I need this future. I need it. Then I want you to get competent, guys. Get competent. And this is where my website, thestudydoc.com, comes in, guys. Amazing courses for you guys. Hop on a webinar, whatever. Get competent. And maybe it's not getting competent with one of my courses, but get a book. Gosh darn it, get off social media. Get a gosh darn book and read something. Get an article, scientific journal article, and read something and better yourself today. Start practicing. Crack your book right now. Read a couple pages. Make progress. Chip away at the 100 pages you got to read. You're 2 pages closer to getting there. Everybody understand? That's all I got for you guys today. I appreciate it, y'all. For my 5 pillar students, you guys know we got coaching in 23 minutes now. But I just want to hop on here. Thank you guys so much. We'll be back at it. Make sure you guys, if it's your first time here, I'm Dr. Andre Pinesett. I'm The Study Doc. My website is thestudydoc.com. on this channel. I like to go live all the time to talk to you guys, to really get in here and bring this positivity, bring this productivity to you guys. So make sure you take a second, like this video, let YouTube know this guy's dropping knowledge. The second thing you need to do, if this is new to you, subscribe. And then once you subscribe, you got to toggle that little bell, turn on live notifications, so that way YouTube hits you up and lets you know that I'm here spitting some knowledge, y'all. So I thank you guys. I appreciate you guys for being here today. We're gonna be back at it. So I recognize, you know what I'm saying? Like me working with students is my calling. And I feel, like I said, I feel blessed and I feel fortunate because so few people have a calling, identify their calling, and are able to realize their calling. And I've done all that. I recognize, like, oh man, my place is in showing students the gosh darn light. And for me to be able to live that every freaking day, I'm so blessed. I'm so satisfied. Like, I was having a whole long conversation at lunch today. My wife's like, why are you sounding so emotional? I'm like, because it was emotional. Because I put in so much work to my students to make them great. It was eerie to watch the difference from an empowered student, who I was in college, and what I became, and me putting that work in and making those decisions and getting the know-how, versus another student who made different decisions. To see that 20 years down the pipe, it validates all the stuff I'm always saying to my students. And it just lit me up, like, oh, I got to get out here and start getting on social media too, because you got a bunch of clowns and bozos out here who leading you guys astray, making you think that posing is what it's at. It's like, no, you got to put that work in. I'm not about looking pretty. I'm about executing. Right? It's about executing. That's what we want to do. Like Kwame Brown out here saying, right? Put some respect on his name. Yes, he was a flop as a #1 pick, but the guy made it to the NBA, had 10 years in a career. You can't be drafted #1 if he's a terrible, like, he would come out, he would mop you guys up at 24 Hour Fitness. You guys saw Brian Scalabrine mop up that guy the other day. He would mop you up. So the whole point is, guys, go get your dreams. Make people put respect on your name, as Kwame said. Respect on your name by being willing to do the work and be all you could possibly be, guys, and fulfill your potential. So I'm out of here. Everyone have a great day, guys. As we always end, how do we always end? No excuses, just dominate, guys. I'll see you guys next week. This has been another episode of the Slay Doc Show. Check me out. Check me out, the podcast, the YouTube channel, everywhere. Later, guys.